Hey, Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond sisters. Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest. Merrilleen is with us. Hello, Merrilleen,
I
over there in Facebook land. So for those of you who are new to the Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond community, we are a group of amazing women. We are a community of what I like to say the best community on the planet because we are smart, intelligent women who have most of our life together. It's this personal side of things that we just couldn't quite move the needle on. And that's what we're working towards. We are no longer the victim to effect. We are the master of cause. And so I'm Dona Rutowicz. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a rapid transformational relationship coach. And that's what we do here is we get a hold of where we want our futures to go. So with that said, Merrilleen, I'll leave it to you to introduce yourself.
am Merrilleen. I joined DGB in April, and it's been quite a wonderful experience. I'm an educator, and I've been successful in my career. I'm really proud of my successes and where I've come professionally, but the personal side of things was just a little bit challenging.
Yep.
When you have a picture in your mind that you're going to have the house with the white picket fence, the two children, the golden retriever, and then it in
Yeah.
you know a divorce that you were not planning for. And I just had a very difficult time picking up the pieces. And that's where you and your program came in. And I feel wonderful. And I really think I'm making progress.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to even just come in here lovingly reframe it from my end, which is I don't think you're making progress. I know you're making progress. Like you from my end. Now it's hard again as an educator, you see this, like your students come into the classroom and they don't see the progress they're making, but you do, right? You could see the shifts where they started to where they are now. And from April to where you are now, you night and day. Now, does it mean we're finished? No, there's still things we need to finish up, but night and day, right? And I think that I love that you said that. And I just want to stay here for a second, which was the divorce wasn't in my plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could guarantee you,
Right.
there's hundreds, if not thousands of women that feel exactly the way you do, right? We've got our work, we've got our professional, we've got our life, we have our house. Like those things came to plan. There may have been things that were outside of that, but we don't wake up as little girls to say, oh, I can't wait to be divorced, or oh, thank goodness I went through this horrible time, or oh my God, like we don't think that. And when it happens, we try to use the same tools that we use that got us successful in life and in work. And we try to apply those tools here to the personal side, and they just don't correlate. Do you remember that first time we had that conversation where I said, Merrilleen, it's like the tools that we use in order to get ahead in work and the tools that we use in order to heal our soul fracture and move forward in life, very different tools,
I
right?
remember exactly that you said that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I asked you, I said, I don't understand how I could be so successful professionally, but be struggling so much personally at the same time.
Yep. And I just want to thank you for saying that because you are now normalizing what
Mhm.
most of us women feel who are, again, we've got it in the boardroom. We've got it. We've got it. It's handled. It's this personal side. And there's so many women out there that are suffering because they're blaming themselves. Like, why? What is it about me? Why can't I figure this out? And it has nothing to do about you. What it just means is that we needed to learn different tools. Right. So let's go to when you started DGB to where you are now. Let's just talk about a little bit about the difference, right? Of where you see yourself. What would you say? Like, what do you see different in how you view the world and how you feel, how you see things?
I think that when we talk a lot about, I thought things were happening to me, but now I
Yes.
understand things are happening for me, and I'm the kind of master of my own plan. I feel like I've really taken control of like what I see, my future. The divorce was defining me. And it was the story I told everyone. And now I think I've been able to reframe, you know, the divorce and not be that's not who defines me anymore. What I
Yep.
want for myself and my future defines me. So I'm always, if I find myself talking negatively or talking about the divorce, I stop myself because no one wants to hear that story anymore.
You're right. First of all, you don't want to hear the story, let alone other people. No one wants to hear the story. And I say this with love, not just to you. I say it to everybody who's listening, and I say it with 100% love. They don't care. No one cares. And it's not that people don't care about you. It's not that people don't care that to see us happy. But after time, after a year, 2, 3, 4 years go by, people, they don't care. They don't want to hear the story. They have enough shit to handle, let alone their own, right? Stuff. Now to hear our stuff. And so I love that you said that is you notice when you're going down that route. And there's no, and what I also love, Merrilleen, is that there's no, why did I go down that route? I can't stop thinking it. I shouldn't think it. I should be better by now. Why am I not over this? I should be thinking here, right? When before that, we're beating ourselves up because we have all these boundaries and all these rules that we can't even possibly meet. And then when we're thinking about it, it goes into the circle. Now it's just like, oh, curiosity. I'm noticing I'm in this thought pattern. Does this serve me? Does this hurt me? It hurts me. Great. Let me think something different because I'm the master of cause. My brain goes where I tell it to go versus where it tells me to go. It's a completely different shift in the way we see the world.
And that's exactly it. So basically from when I started to now, I think, I felt stuck and things were kind of foggy and staticky. And I think right now I'm a lot more clearer about who I am.
Yes. Because we get rid of the static and we could see. And I think, and tell me if you think this, Merrilleen, there's actually 2 gifts that I think we get in DGB. One is there's a path to peace, right? We may not be fully at peace yet, but we're a lot farther than we were, right? Like we understand that the inner peace is the gift.
Right.
We are the gift because when we have peace, we don't have the static. And when we don't have static, we have clarity. We actually could see. And then we also have the resilience to do things like live life. Like when you took your son to that game, right? Like out of nowhere, you just decided like, hey, I'm going to do this and we're going to do a family event together.
Right.
You took the chance. When our emotions are battering us, we don't have the resilience. We don't have the clarity. We don't have the freedom to live life because we're stuck.
Exactly.
And then each day life goes by and we're not living it. We're just existing.
And I always was concerned about like, well, what are they going to think if I spend the money and take my son to do this? Or if I spend the money and take my daughter to do this? And now I realize like, it's not about what other people think. It's about what I want and what I feel is important for me.
There you go. Who is this girl that I see in front of me, Merrilleen? Look at that. And you're saying it beautifully with confidence. I get to decide what's good for me and my family. So if you're listening to this conversation with Merrilleen and you happen to be a people pleaser or you happen to care about other people's feelings a lot and you tend to throw yourself under the bus, no, you're not alone. But also know we could change that behavior. Because if I could do it, so could you. If Merrilleen could do it, so could you. And tell me a little bit how it feels, Merrilleen, to stand in that space with full confidence, with full grace.
I'm really proud of myself because this is something that I really wanted. And this is a place where I really wanted to be. So it feels good. Like it feels good to finally have clarity and to have, all of this confidence that you're seeing and, that I have. So,
and tell me if you feel this too. When I think about, because there's here at DGB, we do talk a lot about boundaries, right? But it's more talking about standards that we hold for ourselves and standards that we hold for other people. Because in the past, there's a lot of people that are on our bus that may not necessarily be the people who are going to help us get to this next journey in our life. They may have been there for the past, right? But we're no longer tolerating or we're no longer allowing people to come on our bus who don't meet our minimum standards, at least the minimum standards.
Right.
Right. And so what I feel is that, especially when it comes to putting other people first, we learn that we could still love people. We could
Yeah.
still get the satisfaction of helping someone, and we could also come first.
Mm-hmm.
And so along your journey, I would love for you to share, if you're open to it, if you want, is you've had what I would say these moments of really stepping into your boundaries, holding your standards, feeling very strong, making very strong decisions. And then you've also had some contrast where maybe you were had a wobble,
Mm-hmm.
where past patterns would come in, past
Mm-hmm.
behaviors would come in, people from the past would come in and really be challenging all of the work that you've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've been on both sides. Tell me about that, how that feels, and where you are now.
Mm-hmm. So going through this journey, like it feels like a diet. Where,
Yes.
like, you should eat healthy, you should buy all the healthy
Yep.
things. Like, it's so easy to grab the cookies and just say, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to
Yep.
eat cookies. I don't care what I look like. And I think that that's a lot about what was happening with me, that like, I knew the answers. I knew the path that I should be going on. But then when some, boundaries were being questioned, part of me was having that wobble of thinking maybe it's just easier if I just let my guard down and, appease other people in my life. And that was the biggest wobble, I
Yep.
think. And I think I realized that I'm important to hold this boundary and move forward.
Yep.
And even when I thought that, like, I didn't hold my boundary, during a coaching call or a Q&A call, like, you made me realize that, I did hold my boundary.
Yes.
Sometimes I had
Yes.
a expectation for myself of what holding a boundary was. And I did.
It's a whole yes. Oh my God, Merrilleen. I remember a couple of times we saw that, right? Where you came to the call and you were in a wobble because there was a meaning that you were making it. And now again, the work we do at DGB is never about criticism, right, wrong, bad, or good. It's just that that's why the coaching calls are so important, is because we can have the conversations. And so many times we're so tied that we can't see the label through our own jar, right? And toxic thinking, energy loves the path of least resistance. So it's always going to go back to what feels comfortable.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean it's right,
Right.
but it will go back to what feels comfortable. And what will happen is, and we'll get some growth, and opportunity will come up for us to practice that growth. And then, like you said, the feeling of I just made, let me just eat that cookie. Maybe just easier, right? Maybe like just easier. It comes back, and maybe in our mind we think we ate the cookie, but when in actuality we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
You did it. You held your boundary and you held it beautifully. And so I think that's what it's about, is it's about understanding that we as human beings are meaning makers. And that's the value of coaching. And that's the value of community. And that's the value of sisterhood, is that you now have an expert table that you go to say, to have that conversation where we could say, wait a minute, we're not denying that you had it, but is it really true?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fact? Or is it a feeling? And let's look at what really happened. And because we can't do this work by ourselves, it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And when we really look at it, you're like, wow, you're right. I did hold my boundary. And then we realize, like, we're farther along than we think.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie just said something. So Jackie was saying, stepping into the woman you've always wanted to be without explaining this to anyone. This is living your best life. Jackie, thank you so much for putting that on there, different level to our conversation, Merrilleen. And that's honoring ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The work we're doing isn't only to honor ourselves and to really create the life that we want, but we're changing the generational
Mm-hmm.
trajectory for our children.
Mm-hmm. I think I knew that I wanted somebody. I had a picture in my mind of the woman I wanted to be, but I
Yep.
just didn't know how to go about attaining that. And I think by working with you and the program, it really set out the guidelines and the steps and the structures so that I could achieve that goal.
Yes. And when we fall, because here's the real deal, as we're doing the work, we're going to have great moments of strength and grace. And just like a toddler who's beginning to crawl, and you know how they take, they couch surf, they furniture surf. And then the moment they come off the furniture, there's a little bit of a tumble, but that's exactly what's supposed to happen. Like as we're learning these tools, we are going to fall, we are going to take a tumble, we are going to slide back, but we're not going to stay there. It's a momentary lapse, right? Our refractory period of where we used to be stuck for days, months, years at a time shortens to moments. And so when you fall, it's no like, oh my God, why did I fall? Or what happened? Or I can't believe this is happening. It's like, oh, this is interesting. What was around me when this happened? What was I feeling? How was I showing up on my physiological state of being? Was I doing my gratitude work? Like where now we become sort of like purveyors and interest and adventurous. And we know that all we need to do is get back into alignment and we're right back on track. We don't have to fear anything anymore. We don't have to worry and we don't have to beat ourselves up. We actually get to get curious and see what happens and then make a different decision.
Exactly.
Right. And it happens so beautifully. What do you think, if you go back to the time before DGB, what was the most frustrating point that you were at? Like, what was that thing that would just eat you up every day that was really like giving you a problem?
I think that I was always so worried about other people's thoughts and feelings that I didn't value mine. I was always so worried making sure other people were happy and at peace and that their needs were being met, that I wasn't meeting any of my own. So putting everyone else first.
But putting everyone else first, yeah. And I think in a way, as a former people pleaser myself, now I'm a people lover, but I love myself too, right? As a former people pleaser, it was a very futile attempt for me. And I'm just not speaking for you. I'm speaking for me. It was a very futile attempt to try to control the environment, but I wasn't controlling anything. Matter of fact, it was becoming more out of control than it was in control. And it was also a way for me to avoid really looking at myself. It was a way for me to say that let me try to manage other people so my life is good, which as I say it, it's like, what are we thinking? Right? Like, let me try to manage everything outside of myself so everything comes into line so I feel good. But and then what ends up happening is I ended up feeling worse because other people were launching, other people were happy, other people were living their life, and I was still stuck.
Exactly.
And not only was I stuck, the way that I see it in my mind is, as I was helping someone else, I took their burdens in a bag and I held the bag. And then I took the next person's burdens and I held the bag. Before you know it, not only was I not living my life, I had hundreds of bags of burdens. And it was no one else's fault. These were choices that I were making. And the moment that I was able to say, wait a minute, I matter too. Here are your burdens back. I'm no longer the general contractor to holding these. You have to hold them. I'll walk the journey with you, but I'm not going to hold your burdens for you or your backpack. With such freedom. And learning how to say no, because you know how we talk about DGB, no is a complete answer.
Exactly.
It was so freeing. And making decisions, like you said, not based on what other people want us to make, but making decisions from our heart of where we want. So where do you want to go, Merrilleen? What's in your future? What are the things that, let's use this time to also put out there and put to the universe what your goals are. What are your goals for the next year or two? What do you want to see happen in your life?
Let's see. So I just had an advancement in my career, so I really want to be
congratulations! Yay!
Major step. So I'm really going to be focusing on that. And with that, I've done some research to think about getting my doctorate, but I'm not 100% sure. And I think I really want to work on getting my finances in order so I could think about retirement. So really focusing on being confident in all the areas I kind of let slide. It was easy not to look at your finances or pay.
I love this, Merrilleen, because you're right. It's easy to let those things slide. right?
Mm-hmm.
Because just don't look at it. It's like
Right.
burying, just let me not look at it. But when we do the work on ourselves, it's almost like we clean the house of this toxic energy and thoughts and patterns, that we have the space and we actually want to expand and grow. And we actually are looking for ways to do that, that we actually can say, I'm going to focus on this now.
Mm-hmm. So I really want to just focus on, like, being complete, taking those areas and, where I vision, taking better care of myself, my health, getting back to the doctor's visits again, and eating better. And I've been taking walks. I've been telling myself for like years, like, I should start walking. And all of a sudden I just started walking,
Of course you did, because this is, again, when we feel good, of course you're going to do it. And you
Mhm,
have the accountability because it's inspired action.
mhm.
Why not? Just, well, you know what? I won't curse, but it's the JFDI. It's the just fucking do it. Like
Yeah.
we just JFDI it.
Mhm.
We're,
So,
I like to say at DGB, you know how they have the saying that says there's people that, are you a glass half full person? Are you a glass half empty person? Here at DGB, we drink the glass of water while other people are fighting over what it
mhm.
is. Because
That's
yep, we've got it. We've got it. It's, life is not slowing down for any of us.
mhm,
I hope we live to the ripe old age. What I like to say is 120 years and healthy,
mhm,
right? Where we're there and we have our bodies and our minds, but we never know where life is going to take us. And for every day that divorce keeps us a victim, it's another day that's lost. And to
right.
me, that's a tragedy.
Mhm,
Listen, not every day is perfect. I don't know if there ever is actually a perfect day. Is there? I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But every day that's, we're prisoner to our thoughts. Every day, oh, did the lights just go out? That was
yeah.
weird. Every day we're prisoners to our thoughts. Every day that we're not living our life, that we're not investing our time with our family and doing the things, is a day lost. We don't get that back.
Mhm,
And so it's a matter of taking hold of, hey, listen, my life isn't where I wanted it to be, but I'm on my way to
mhm,
driving it to where I want to be. And I love the shift of when you started, where life was happening to me, to where you are now, which is life is happening for me. And
mhm,
I'm gonna be the active creator. I'm not going to be sitting by the sidelines hoping.
mhm,
I'm going to be actively on the court
mhm.
creating.
And I was actively doing, like, going out with friends all the time and trying to date different people if I could just get a new husband and pick up where I left off, and, like, doing activities or being active
Yep.
the right
Yep.
way. Now I know, that was in the past, and now I know I'm going to focus on my children and taking my daughter on vacation if that's what we choose to do, and taking my son to a hockey game, and focusing on career, and focusing on all the things I'm learning here, and then just seeing where life goes. I don't have a plan. Like, I don't want a instant mate right now. That'll come in time. Like, I just wanted to be me, my children, my job, and just keep focusing on.
Yes. And if you're listening to Merrilleen, this is the gift, my friends. But you had said it before DGB, you did what all of us have done, which is,
Mhm,
if I should just get another husband, pick up where I left off, right? Or if I just get this, then I'll do this. If I have this, then I'll do this, which is because as human beings, and as if you're here at DGB, everybody who's listening here at DGB, we all have a commonality, which is we don't want to be the cat lady living in the condo alone. Right? We do not want to be, we are here because we are women wired to be loved and to love, and we want a relationship.
mhm,
But when we get to DGB, we realize that we were putting the cart before the horse, and that's not going to get us to what we want.
mhm,
That actually is going to get us to a second divorce, third divorce, fourth divorce, right? Because we'll end up attracting the same person, right? Or the same patterns that we don't want, because we're not really changing the inside. We're only changing the 5% of thoughts. We're not changing the 95%. And so the gift becomes, wait a minute, my crossing the bridge has nothing to do about getting another husband or getting this in place. It has to do with getting my heart in track. And what you're saying is, I'm in no rush anymore. Like, I love my life. I'm loving where I'm going. I'm loving the learning. I'm loving the unfolding. I'm loving the expanding. And it's not a matter of if he comes, because I know he's going to come. But for right now, I want to focus on me. I mean,
Mhm.
would you ever think you would say that, Merrilleen? I mean, would you ever think that those words would be coming out of your mouth if I said this to you 3 months ago?
No, I'm perfectly content with who I am, and so and in time, I'm sure that person will come along. But for right.
100%. There's not even a doubt. He
Mhm.
will. Because, and here's the beauty of where you're at, Merrilleen. That person who comes along your path will be the right match for you because energetically, you're at a new level. We're no
Mhm.
longer at the level of I put other people first. We're no longer at the level it's just easier if I handle it this way because that level of energy attracts people who are not the quality of people that we want.
Mhm.
Right? Because they can't if we don't put ourselves first and we don't say wait a minute, I can love people but I'm also important and I choose me first. If we don't choose ourselves first, we can't expect to bring in a mate or a match that chooses us first. Likely they'll choose themselves first.
Mhm.
And those people look for people like us who are formal, who are like not you and I now, but they look for people who are people pleasers because they know they have
Mhm.
power over that, right? And so it keeps the cycle going, which we're just not available for anymore.
Mhm.
That's a cycle we're just not available for. We're available for a whole new cycle, which is love, abundance, connection, fun, adventure. And I can't wait to see where it goes personally and career-wise for you.
Me too.
Because this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. So, with that said, what's one thing that you could say to someone who's listening? Let's say she is you, right? She's got a good job. She's got her home is taken care of. Maybe, her marriage, she's not quite sure where she is. Like she's divorced, right? She's moving forward, but she's still stuck in the pattern. It's easier for her to help other people than it is for herself. But, she's going to bed at night and there's a big gap that's missing. Like she's in the day, it looks like she has her shit together, right? Like people
Mhm.
would look at her and be like, wow, she's got it. She's
Mhm.
got it all. But when she goes to bed at night, she doesn't.
Mhm.
These are the secret thoughts that she's dealing with. So what would you say to her? What advice could you give her? Wisdom, guidance?
So I think that before DGB, I never really understood the analogy of like make sure you put the oxygen mask on yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not full and complete and have your
Yep.
your thoughts and feelings together, you can't help other people. So I think that being part of this and what I learned is that it really is important to make yourself feel whole first and take care of yourself so that now I live.
Oh, hold on. She just has another call coming through. I know you're back. So you were saying I heard now I live and then where were you on that?
So I feel like now I feel like I live life each day to the fullest. Where I was like, oh, I'm almost 50. Like I'm just gonna like I'm on like the other side of life. So what's the sense? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
Yep.
now I know that I should live and I want to live each day. So I want
And
to
it's
live
only getting better.
like I'm dying. Right? Is that what?
Yes, but it's exactly what we think. It's like, oh, because the pain is so great and the hurdles seem so large that it's almost like, whatever. But when you get the tools and you realize, wait a minute, this journey to my heart, this journey to peace isn't difficult per se. The challenging part is changing the thought patterns, right? Of the habits. That's the challenging part is replacing the habits. But then you realize like, wait a minute, there's so much more that I had no idea was even there.
Right. And I really like, in our first phone call, I was like, okay, how is this all going to work? But it does. I think, the module piece, like, working independently and doing modules on my own was amazing. Having the one-on-one phone calls with, Jackie and Kate, amazing. And then the Q&A phone calls and the group coaching, all these pieces, just work together. And I think in the
Yep.
education, we're like, okay, what's the assignment? What's the homework? And how are
Yeah.
you going to assess me to know if I did this okay? But, it works,
And you know how we know, just to answer your question, Marilyn, because you're right. Like as teachers and in the education field, like the traditional way of doing school is very different than the DGB way. And
Mhm.
especially in this area, again, reclaiming our heart, healing our soul fracture, and moving forward, you have to have all three pieces, right?
Mhm.
Because I've done it all different ways. You absolutely need the self work, like you said, going through the modules on your own, because that's time you're learning on your own. You absolutely need the individual time because we all, even though we're all here with the
Mhm.
same sort of challenges, we all have an individual journey. that needs tending to. And it's important to have those individual conversations. And then lastly, the group is another must, because we can't see the label through our own jar. And sometimes when you see another woman having a breakthrough, or she's liberated, or you see her even struggling or across a wobble, and then you see her next week of how she's been through it and the changes, it's like, wow, if she could do it, so could I, right? We begin to see things that we never even knew were available, right? And like you said, they all are there. They all work together. They have to be there. But the reason, going back to how I know how you're how we're assessing you to see if this program works, is by universal feedback, by experience, by seeing how you're interacting with life. What's the difference between when you started to where you are now? And I know without a shadow of a doubt it's working for you, because look at you, right? Like, you're here. The change is palatable. Where you were to where you are, you're still the same person in so many different ways, but internally, it's like it's a rebirth, it's a renewal, it's a Merrilleen 2.0. It's this whole new, because we don't want to be the woman we were. We want to take pieces of her, right, that serve us, but we're ready to create a whole new version.
Yep.
And we have hope, right? And now we have structure, and you have community. And we have the best of me. I think we have the most amazing women on the planet. You could go into the DGB private group. You could ask anything you want, and without a shadow of a doubt, someone's getting back to you, or there's someone that knows the answer, or someone that's going to support you. Like, and this is journey. And just for anyone who's listening to what Merrilleen had shared, is this is journey you can't do alone, right? So going back to the wisdom, what else were you saying? So you were saying, like, I forgot where we left off. We digressed a little bit. What was the wisdom that you were sharing?
No, I just, that right now, like, I feel like I'm living every day. Like, I'm feeling, I'm looking for the miracles, and being grateful for the things that I have. And I think, like, in the past, I would be like, you know what, I could just live the rest of my life being upset and whatever.
Right. And it's true. We come to this level of complacency because it's also survival mode. Your brain is only wanting to keep you alive the way it knows how you've been operating the past 5 years, 3 years, which is, if you're in survival mode and you've been upset or sad or angry or frustrated or whatever that is, that's where your brain's going to want to keep you. If we don't decide on ourselves, and that's why on the breakthrough call, there's a decision where we have to decide on ourselves. If we don't decide on ourselves, your brain will keep you stuck literally for the rest of your life.
And I
love
to those. I go back and I re-listen to those phone calls over and over again, because there's always a different takeaway every time I listen to it.
Yep.
Depending on who's sharing and what their issue or wobble is. So
yeah. And that's, again, the force of a community, is that what we know too about quantum physics, about energy, about frequency, about connection, is this is work. Now, again, other areas, this may not be the case. This area, particularly with divorce and separation, recreating yourself, having a seat at the table with amazing women, with amazing mentors, amazing coaches, the energetic vibrational frequency, even just by you showing up, you're caught in the draft. You are going to get transformation. Even if you did nothing and just showed up, you're going to get the transformation, because we're claiming a different seat at the table, which is so important. And so what I'm just going to piggyback to what Merrilleen is saying, if you are listening to this conversation and Merrilleen, there's something about what Merrilleen is saying to you that has connected with you or has inspired you, know that Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond could be your place. I'm going to put the link to the masterclass here in the comments below, so you could watch the masterclass. If the message resonates with you, book a call here with me. We could have a conversation. If DGB is your place, I'll let you know. And if not, I will let you know that too. But even if the coaching isn't on your plate right now, or this is not something you're interested in doing, you've got to decide on yourself and make the change now. Right? Because like Merrilleen said, until we make active change, until we take active role in our life, we're going to keep attracting the same people. We're going to keep having the same experiences. We're going to keep wanting something different. And that's just the definition of an insanity. Now, if you choose that that's the place you want to be, and you're willing to accept that, and that's what the level you're willing to tolerate, then so be it, right? There's no judgment. Everybody gets to make her own decision. But I don't think that's you. If you're here and you're listening to this, it means that you have there's something in your heart. there's a deeper level of life that you're wanting to live. So whether it's DGB or it's not DGB, get active and get into coaching. Find a mentor, find a coach that aligns with you, because this is 100% work you cannot do alone. And now again, therapy, wonderful, beautiful structure for this work. But when we're really looking to create our future, therapy no longer is the most effective tool, because it's one-to-one and it keeps us stuck on our past. What we know here is we need community. We need the Q&A, you need the individual, and you need the curriculum. All right. All really important pieces of the puzzle. So if Merrilleen's message resonated with you, allow this to be the spark or the seed in your heart that today is the last day that you were going to suffer, that you're going to start taking action to take your life where you want it to be. Because I hope this is okay to say, and Merrilleen, you know me enough to know that I there is no judgment, there is no blame, there is no condemnation, there is truth. Mm-hmm. And the truth is no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save you. You have to take the action to save yourself and create the life you want. What would you say about that, Merrilleen?
That's 100% true. Because no one gets it. And when you're with a group of people, you're with a group of people who get it. And I think
so choose you. That's the bottom line. So I'm sending you much love. And Merrilleen, I'll see you on the group Q&A.
Great.
Have an amazing kick-ass rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining us. And anything else you want to say before we close up?
Nope. Thank you for having me.
All right. See you guys later. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.